This video presents a comprehensive assessment of the seismic behavior of a typical 8-story reinforced concrete building from the 1960s, characterized by a dual-frame wall structural system and ribbed slab floors. Our main goal is to determine the target displacement, the maximum lateral displacement demand imposed on the structure by the design earthquake. We will obtain it through a nonlinear static, or pushover, analysis developed step-by-step in ETABS. The first operation may look like a minor modeling detail, but in a pushover analysis, it is critical: the end-length offsets. Calculated automatically from connectivity. With a rigid zone factor of 1, they represent the beam-column joint regions as rigid and define each member by its clear span between faces. This matters for two reasons. First, plastic hinges will later be placed at the member faces, not at the analytical joint center lines. Second, reducing the clear span concentrates the imposed lateral drift into higher chord rotations, which is both more demanding and more representative of the deformation demand on the hinges. The control point for the pushover analysis is defined at joint 69, which coincides with the floor center of mass. The imposed displacement is therefore monitored at this location, using the 200 mm displacement target as the reference value for the nonlinear static load case. To represent the existing building accurately, the member sections and reinforcement were modeled exactly as specified in the original design documentation, with the relevant detailing taken directly from the structural drawings. That fidelity starts with the material definitions, because in a pushover analysis, they govern the response beyond first yield. For concrete, we define the full nonlinear stress-strain relationship using the Mander model. Reinforcing steel is defined using expected material strengths, as required for the assessment of existing structures. First, we show the reinforcement definition for one of the columns. Here, the section is defined as a PM2-M3 column, including the longitudinal bars and transverse reinforcement, so the axial moment interaction and the hinge yield capacity are based on the actual column detailing. The workflow then moves to the beams. For ductile beams, the reinforcement area override fields must be edited so ETABS uses the real top and bottom reinforcement areas at each end, rather than generic or default values. This is essential because the assigned beam hinges derive their yield moments and rotation limits directly from those reinforcement areas. On screen, the reinforced concrete wall element stiffness modifiers are also adjusted to account for cracking. This reduces the effective elastic stiffness so the model better represents the crack behavior expected under seismic loading. Once the model reflects the original drawings, we move on to the plastic hinges. In plan view, we start with the beams. We assign flexural moment hinges at both ends, where inelastic curvature demand is expected to concentrate. This is the key setting. The hinge backbone parameters are generated automatically from the S41-13 provisions, while the acceptance criteria are linked to Eurocode 8, Part 3. In other words, the force deformation backbone follows the ASCE framework, and the performance limits follow the European assessment format. The columns are assigned interacting PM2-M3 hinges. Because axial load and biaxial bending act together, ETABS generates moment rotation relationships for different axial force levels, taken here from the gravity load combination, and interpolates between them so each hinge reflects the demand carried by its column. We use the flexure-controlled condition from Table 10-8 for concrete columns, which is appropriate when the expected inelastic mechanism is governed by bending rather than by shear failure. For selected columns, fiber hinges are introduced instead of automatically generated hinges. These members are located close to the core and are therefore subjected to significant variations in axial force during the lateral response. A fiber hinge is better suited to this condition because it captures the evolving axial flexural interaction directly from the section response, rather than relying on a predefined backbone based on a fixed axial load level. Last, we can apply a hinge overwrite so that the hinges do not lose their load carrying capacity beyond the collapse point of the backbone. This is not mandatory, but it avoids the long runtimes and convergence difficulties that appear when a hinge collapses and the program has to redistribute forces abruptly. With this overwrite, we reach the results much faster, and we can then simply check whether any hinge would actually collapse before the target displacement. The walls are treated differently. Rather than using a predefined lumped plasticity backbone, we assign fiber hinges with reinforcement represented by a uniform reinforcement ratio. The wall section is discretized into fibers, each following its own material stress-strain law, so the axial flexural response is derived directly from the section behavior. Now we can check the hinge properties. The generated hinges are displayed for the columns, beams, and walls, confirming that each previously assigned hinge definition has been created at the corresponding member location. Looking at one hinge, the backbone extends from A to E, with yielding at point B. The acceptance points, immediate occupancy, life safety, and collapse prevention, are mapped to the Eurocode 8, Part 3 performance states: damage limitation, significant damage, and near collapse. Each value remains traceable to the applicable code provisions. Everything now comes together. With the hinges defining the structural capacity, the pushover curve is converted into the EC8 target displacement format. ETABS reduces the multi-degree of freedom structure to an equivalent single degree of freedom system, idealizes the capacity curve, determines the effective period, and obtains the seismic demand from the elastic response spectrum. For the modal pushover in the x direction, the target displacement is 80.4 mm, with a corresponding base shear slightly above 3,021 kilonewtons. This is the lateral displacement demand imposed by the design earthquake, and it becomes the reference point for the subsequent performance checks.